Hey everyone, watch as Erika and I turn this into this. We've finished the next step of the collab that we're working on together. Erika the Mermaid. So I'm going to do a voiceover on this video to talk you through the steps. So Erika has also set up a camera, so there's going to be another video that she's going to release, but Jeff is also watching a movie, so that's why the voiceover is necessary. Anyway, so Erika and I, I'm going to walk you through this part because I didn't videotape it while we were doing this, but I gave her kind of direction. I wanted her, well, I let her have the reins basically. And so we ended up deciding to work on the alcohol ink and adding some more scale look to it and adding microflakes to the bottom. So we used some microflakes from ClaraLawrence and added that to the bottom to give it more of a seascape type of a look. We also used some of the resin art with a little bit of alcohol mixed in to add some layers of dots on the bikini area, the tail, and I guess the fin of the tail. And right there you see a modeling paste that Erika's been using lately, and it has almost a pearlescent look to it. It's a modeling paste from Germany, and I'm not familiar with the brand. When I find out the brand, I'll put it in the link in the descriptions below. Okay, so we finished all the arting, and now it's time to really take the alcohol ink to another level. This is Art Coat by Stone Coat, and it just speaks for itself. It's a high quality resin, has a long working time, and it really does make your art sing. And for some reason with alcohol ink, it just really makes the colors really rich, really vibrant. And if you add any color into it, it adds that dimension so fast. And so of course we had to play with this because we like to play with resin to begin with, and we both definitely are on the same page when it comes to alcohol inks and resin. So that was a natural next step. So we thought we'd just show you the prettiness of just adding the resin and what that really does to the inks right here. Okay, now to talk to you a little bit more about the resin that we use. Stone Coat Countertops has come up with an art coat resin that's specifically designed for working with art. And it's got a bunch of things in there that we both really appreciate. One, long working time. I mean, some people have been able to get 2 hours out of the resin before it starts setting up, and that's just such a long time. And very, very helpful when you're working in the creative process. The other thing too is it's got so much UV protection in there, really helps out with the artwork. And with alcohol ink, it's very sensitive to sunlight and any UV. So that's definitely a plus on this case. And then just the wow factor is the finish. The finish is flawless. If you go about the process well, mix it up really well, 3 minutes mixing time, scraping edges, bottom, and the utensil, and then applying it in a reasonable amount as far as a layer on top. Hit it with a heat gun or a torch, but make sure you're always moving your heat source around. You remove the bubbles, and then protect it in some kind of either tent, cover, box to keep things away from it while it cures. And you're really, really going to set your artwork up to having a really nice finish. So we're just applying a nice generous coat to this. Whatever is too much will drip off the sides on this one. But you can tell already it's really done a nice job. Okay, now you can see as I'm panning around, there's a little bit of a pearlescent. That's the modeling paste that we were lightly applying to the piece, and it really, really shows up when the resin, again, it's just something about adding that resin to it, helps out things with shimmer and reflection, and pearlescence, metallic type of things really stand out. We have a little bit of the modeling paste is like little ribbons going in the water as well. And and the hair just wasn't hardly showing up before we apply the resin, but afterwards it really does stand out. And there you can see it's a pretty shot of the resin, the flawless finish on that. So really big fan of the company. They do a really good product. But the piece is turning out really well, but we're not done yet. We're starting to add some white paste into the resin and play with the effects of water. It was literally almost up to the last minute. Is she going to be underwater? Is she going to be on, on the beach? I did the painting enough so that we could decide when we were in the moment. And literally at the last moment, I was like, yep, she's underwater. So she's adding just a little ribbon of white paste into it, takes the heat gun at a slight angle, blows it, and also tilts up the painting just a little bit, so that way the fan of the paste flows downward. And I think she's about to do another one really soon. I think this was one of my first true times of working with another artist one-on-one, and we're both bouncing off ideas the entire time, and working on the piece together. It was a really neat process, and hopefully we'll get to do it again. And see, it's a very simple technique. You don't have a whole lot of heat. A little bit of gravy, excuse me, gravity. There, we got the word out. And then the heat source pushing it through, and it really creates that nice little wave effect. But what's really, really cool with paintings is having that paste or that flow within the resin flow over something that's painted. All of a sudden, you'll get this three-dimensional look really fast, and you'll see that when the wave goes over like any of the hair or the tail area. It becomes very obvious. And you're going to see her later on where she's working some white into the hair. Well, I guess she's going to do it now. And some of my other pieces that you've seen where there's a palomino. And I've done pretty much the same thing. In fact, we were both talking back and forth about just taking the finger and just gliding the finger and following the lines up. So that way it just kind of flows with the hair. And it really creates a nice effect. It's a little nerve-wracking to do, but it's not that difficult to do it. Okay, Erika is just drawn in a couple lines in here, and she's feeling a little bit more comfortable tweaking the art out. It was funny. I shouldn't say it was funny. I guess if roles were reversed, I'd probably be feeling the same way as she was. Here I go, and we agreed to do this piece of artwork together, and I had this idea. It's like, I saw this picture that Jeff did of her at the beach or at a pool, and it led itself to the idea or the concept of turning her into a mermaid, because that's something she's always kind of joked around about on her Artist Till Death. Like, I'm a mermaid, you know that. And I'm like, okay, here's proof. Well, anyway, so I'm showing up with this board that's already done, the painting, and she's like, okay, now what do I need to do to it, because it looks like it's finished? It's like, well, you need to do your thing. Just put your spin, your touch on it. What are you going to do with it? You're the mermaid. You know what your tail looks like. And we'd always joke around, but it's got to be nerve-wracking on the flip side if you receive a piece of artwork from another artist and say, okay, you put your spin on it, and you're like, I've got to modify your art? Are you kidding me? So I get to do the same thing with another collab right now, so I'll get to feel what she was feeling pretty soon. But I have to admit, the experience is really, really, really worth the challenge. You learn a lot. It also pulls you out of your comfort zone a little bit. You might do things you normally might not have even thought about doing. And for that aspect alone, it teaches you either different techniques, just different ways of thinking about things, and you grow as an artist. So I really encourage anybody to work with another artist. They process the creative thinking differently than you would, and so it's usually a win-win situation. Okay, time to find out what color she's going to use. And it is gold, of course. Well, Erika almost always adds gold to her pieces, and this seemed to be the perfect solution to add to herself as a mermaid. But what's really interesting and something to think about as far as adding dimension to your artwork, colors seem to, okay, so you've got resin on the surface. Colors will either stay suspended within the resin, sink down, or somewhat stay on top. Golds will go from the very top of the surface down through it. And this particular gold, which is the 007 Color Obsession, yeah, Color Obsession, will rest on the top. So it'll add another dimension to the resin also. So really nice effect, especially when you incorporate that within a painting. So around by her jawline, where there's some hair that's darker, what I've done is I've incorporated some lavender tones or purple tones in there to help do two things. One, connect the person of Erika to the mermaid and the colors that were in her tail, but also because it's a darker tone, it brings in some depth. Creates a shadow, pulls that hairline back, makes the brighter hair come more forward. So it's a little trick as far as shading and stuff. You know, the brighter colors come forward, darker colors go back. Dustier colors even go further back. All right, we all have a moment here where there's a, yeah, that kind of thing happens. So if there's anything I've learned in art, you kind of go with it. It's not a complete loss. Incorporate the mistake into your piece, and most of the time you can salvage a little mishap like that. So I'm glad we were able to kind of show that, because it happens to everybody, you know. You know, with resin, you know, you can get a fly in the piece, you can get hairs in there. You might put a coat on and like miss a, you know, an area, and you end up with this little pit. You know, things like that happen. So it's a matter of how you work with it. Sometimes it gives you an opportunity to do another layer, and it's like, oh, let's add a little color here or a little shimmer there, and you know, it makes that piece, you know, come out really well. So here she adds a lot of gold. Well, no, I shouldn't say a lot of gold. Some gold, just little bits, and with the bottom area, the ground area, and then she gives it a little bit of fan of heat. And what it does is just magic. It just it spreads it out like it fans the almost the glitter of it out, and it's really cool to see. I try to get close, but trying also not to get torched at the same time. But I try to get close so that you guys can see the effect, because it's just kind of fun. All right, we're going in for an extreme close-up. Gonna risk the heat so that y'all can see what it looks like. It's like a little spray of glitter gold. Now be mindful if you use a torch versus a heat gun. A torch will heat up the resin to a much higher temperature in a very short period of time. So it's easy to scorch your resin. Well, here she is all finished and looking fabulous. Erika and I, we'd made a good team. And we'll have to do something else. I have to put my head around something. Come up with another idea. But I love what resin does to artwork, and it just really brings it up to a whole nother level. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check out Artist Till Death on their YouTube channel, and check me out as well as far as my videos that are out there, and subscribe to both of us. Hit the bell and hit a thumbs up if you like the video. This was a fun collaboration. I hope you enjoyed it as well.